Melvo lit that shit bang.
Welcome back, everybody, to Crows of Judgment, and I am actually feeling a lot better today, but I'm going to do something that was highly requested and something that I really wanted to do after watching this video, and several of my friends watched this video, and that is rip freaking Repzilla, a damn new one, over these massive hot takes and rampant misinformation, and bring some things to light that you may not actually know about both Repzilla and Slimecicle. So, before we begin, do me a favor, drop a like on this video, consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. I will be going over this video in full, 14 minutes of just absolute brain damage. So, if you could do me a favor, maybe also consider becoming a patron of ours. The link is going to be in the description of this video. Now, let's begin. So, I feel like I have to point out that the very opening is CallMeCarson just ended his career. Sure. We're
going to be talking about the CallMeCarson situation. Now, this is a very serious situation, but the dynamics are ethically very challenging.
It's a very serious situation, but the ethics are very challenging. No, they're really not, dude. You're talking about somebody that was sexting with 17-year-olds at the ages of 19 and 20. Not very ethically, morally challenging or anything of that nature. You're talking about somebody who's within that same generation. Maybe it's challenging to you. Let's just keep playing.
And I feel like I can offer something to this conversation. There are multiple things that we need to go into.
I don't think you're going to offer anything other than absolute buffoonery and some clown school shenanigans.
But first, I'm going to explain to you what's going on. I'm going to break it down. And I'm also going to explain to you why blaming the person that came out with the accusations, it's not good. Sit down.
Oh, okay. You mean blaming the person whose own DMs show that they're the one instigating the actual conversation, who also admits to reaching out to Carson, wanting to be their girlfriend, who calls somebody a P word, P to the E to the D to the O, and then says later, oh man, I watched Keemstar's latest video, and gosh dang it, I really messed that one up. Thanks to Keemstar, who I released my accusation after his recent drama alert. Now that he's released this Twitter video, I'm gonna walk back calling someone a P to the E to the D to the O. Yeah, don't blame her, even though we're gonna talk about that one and show the absolute idiocy of that statement. Gosh, man, really? Don't blame her? The person who says, child enthusiastic pictures are illegal, but by her own admission, created said images and sent them across state lines? Well, look, I've already said, and this is going to come up later, don't worry. There is absolutely no issue with two people in a consenting relationship that is legal by all standards. There's no issue with them sexting or exchanging nudes. But let's keep going, because, if that's an issue, then Sam, who created said images, has broken the law and is a federal criminal waiting to be charged, as well as every single high schooler who is sexting currently.
Classes in session. Welcome to the Repzilla channel. Now, if you're completely unfamiliar with CallMeCarson, he's a YouTuber with over 3.22 million subscribers. He's been accused of grooming an underage fan. Now, these accusations first came out on Twitter from a user that goes by the name Sam. She TWs it by saying grooming and the P word. She states that she was groomed by Carson while she was still in high school. She was 17 years old at the time. Now, Carson was the age of 19 years old. So the age gap within itself is 17 to 19. It's realistically a 2-year age gap. Carson starts off by saying,
I think it's funny here, right? Because nobody takes issue with the 2-year age gap. but there is a 3-year age gap that exists, and if you take issues with that, I mean, there's no issues with either relationship. I believe he's going to highlight the next user here in a little bit, but I think it's funny the DMs that he's choosing to show, because the entire Discord DMs have come out, and you can see that Carson says several times, I'm not comfortable, I'm not sure, with Sam just trying to push him into a relationship the entire time.
Scared, I want to talk to you for the wrong reasons. Now, that's obviously already not a good way to start off a conversation. He talks about how his brain is stimulated, and
I mean, it's cringe. It's very cringe, but if you've ever, like, known people that have been in high school and they're fucking horny. I remember being in high school, and I can just tell you right now, the conversations I had with girls would physically hurt you. And the conversations they had with me would physically hurt you. Because it was just that goddamn cringe.
now every time he thinks of her, he does some things that we're personal things. We're not going to get into it. Saying when she's in the mood,
nuts.
Him up, talking about how they could have went on a date, and then when do you turn 18? And then he talks about having some type of fun on Snapchat. Now this alludes to some not okay things, because you have to keep in mind that this girl is 17 years old. Carson, teenager himself, 19. But
what? Like literally at this point, nobody gives a damn. Nobody gives a crap. You can see I'm trying to be very careful with my language. I just want to see if I can monetize this video properly. But think about it, right? Nobody actually cares about 17 and 19, right? But no, it's really inappropriate. One thing that's actually kind of funny, and maybe I'm wrong here, but like I said, I don't care if they were sexting in the first place. But if they were doing it on Snapchat, Snapchat doesn't actually save any of those images. It auto-deletes everything. So if Carson and Sam the entire time were engaging on Snapchat, and those were where the images were being sent, Carson's not actually even in possession of said images, which would kind of be a little bit funny towards this whole argument that people have had against him. I don't know. Maybe he was saving them. Like, I'm actually not aware. But yeah, it also changes the nature of their own accusations against him, which honestly are pretty freaking weak to begin with.
But anyone under the age of 18, if you exchange inappropriate images at all, it's going to be against the law. That being said, yes, that means that...
Really? Well, let's be clear here. Under Sam's own state law, he's perfectly fine. Under Carson's own state law, he's perfectly fine. Under federal law, they don't freaking care! Right? And you're going to highlight Slimecicle here later in this video. Look, if the FBI cared, they would have seized the guy's laptop and phones and computers and everything that he owns. But they didn't, because this is a non-issue to literally everyone except for weirdos on Twitter and the Karen audience that you built up.
That if you have pictures of yourself under the age 18 explicitly, that's going to be against the law and considered not...
Well, round up every single high schooler. Repzilla, junior freaking detective over here. Round up every high schooler in America who is sexting with their boyfriend/girlfriend and exchanging nudes. That's jail time, everybody. You heard it from Repzilla, and you know what? He's an internet cop.
Good material. He talks a lot about how scared he is of having these conversations with her. And this in itself shows me that he understands that there's obviously a power dynamic, and there's obviously something wrong with the way that he's coming across. He's coming across with conversations of a nature that he feels, this is what gets me, that he feels is wrong.
He's a lonely nerd. He's insecure. He's probably incredibly shy in public, and he's a horny damn teen. Obviously, he's got a massive channel, and he probably doesn't want any of that coming out to the public. Kind of makes sense. Most people don't want their sexual activities displayed on freaking YouTube videos. You moron! He's scared. There's an obvious power dynamic. You know, I brought this up multiple times, right? And I've done it on Twitter, and let me just say this right now. And I think I even did in the last video. There is an obvious power dynamic between PewDiePie and his wife, right? Obvious power dynamic, right? Is anyone going to really argue that situation? PewDiePie's wife was a huge fan of his show. PewDiePie is one of the largest YouTubers, like, literally ever. And the two hooked up. And they stayed together, and they got married. And PewDiePie has millions upon millions. The largest independent content creator on the platform to this day. And his wife, from the beginning to this day, is still a fan of his channel. Are we really going to talk about the obvious power dynamic and how inappropriate that relationship is? No, because it would be stupid and moronic, like calling this whole thing an obvious power dynamic. She's 2 minutes in. 2 minutes in.
Even lawyers agree, like, you should not have, even with the age gap being this way, and them being both teenagers, lawyers still state that.
Why are you bringing up Los Angeles? Why are you bringing up freaking LA? Greg Hill and Associates, LA and surrounding counties. Sam's in goddamn New Jersey. Carson's in Indiana. At least I showed the Indiana state law that shows there's no freaking issue with this. God, wow. Why are you bringing up Did you look for a state law where you'll be just A-okay? Because let me be honest, in California, 18 is the age of consent. 18. That's why this makes... God, what is this? What? Jesus, man. Of everybody covering this situation, Repzilla is like the last person that you should go to for freaking content on this. Brain damaged. I swear, I am suffering severe brain damage right now.
It's a weird and difficult area, and that you just should not have any type of relationship with somebody under the ages of 18 years old. I do think it's important to say that the age gap of 17 to 19 would not be considered the P word. It would not. I think it's really important to understand exactly what a P word is. Here's the definition. Read that. Digest.
Okay. I'm going to have a lot of fun here when he talks about definition, because now he's going to go into the I'm pretty sure now he goes into the definition of grooming.
Just that. It's an attraction where an older adult or adolescent has a particular attraction towards a prepubescent child. 17 to 19 would not be considered this. In fact, the biggest concern of this situation, that being if there was inappropriate images exchanged or not. Twitter user Joko tweets, "I do not want any false narratives spread about this," and then posts a very, very important video.
Okay, so this is Carson's own statement. I'm going to read it out because it's probably a little bit hard to see on the screen. Long story short, when I was 19, I sexted a couple of viewers that were 17. Extremely regrettable and incredibly embarrassing. Felt guilty since. Apologized to them both. Resolved it privately last year. Then King got hold of it like 2 days ago. So, we actually know who these two individuals are. It's Sam and another user called Copycat. Nobody cares that he was sexting someone who was 17 at the age of 19 and the age of 20. Nobody cares. Now, as far as like the images, first off, the images were being stored on Snapchat. He's not even in possession of said images, so you cannot say. But if it was the exchanging of nudes and stuff, by your own logic, both Sam and this new accuser, these two victims you held up on your shoulders, right? Both of these two are just as guilty, if not more, because they created the content. And then every single high schooler in the United States, every single one of them who's ever sexted or exchanged nudes with their boyfriend slash girlfriend slash F-buddy, right? Every single one of them is a criminal, is a federal criminal. That's absurd and stupid, but that's your own damn logic when you think about it for longer than half a second or longer than it takes you to think, I can cancel CallMeCarson. What the hell, man?
I'm not into kids, but I did trade with people under the age of 18, which is very bad. I was 19. That's all you need right there. That's Carson's profile. There you go. There's all the stuff for that. And then if you go down to the very bottom, grooming the Carson situation, this tweet, he says, "This shit is absolutely disgusting. I figure guys will be seeing this sooner or later, but yeah, absolutely gross messages confirming that this is true."
There was a particular Drama Alert episode that came out with previous friends of Carson where they talked about how he had told them and that they had known that he had been talking to a girl that was under the age of 18 years old.
Well, I'm gonna stick to the facts here, which was that one day in March, he called me shortly before he told Travis. Everybody was up in LA, and he told most of them face to face. But he called me, and I picked up the phone, and he was basically like, "I have to tell you something." And then he told me that he did underage girls, and I think that he said that they were fans, and that was what I was told.
Did he tell you how old they were?
At the time, no.
They said,
Okay, now this is really important, right? Because Jay Schlatt and Slimecicle have both confirmed that they were told 17. Meanwhile, Noah and Travis, the other individual on Drama Alert, both lied through their damn teeth and said that he actually never told them what age they were. So I always had issues with Noah and Travis on Drama Alert because, first off, their accusations, their implications were absolutely insane. But it just to highlight the dishonesty of his former friends who gladly let Keemstar call them his close friends, right? We're also trying to deceive the entire Drama Alert audience in terms of how old these individuals are. Now we know that the two people in question who Carson admits to, Carson actually admitted to a second person before they came forward, were in fact 17. Does anybody care? Does anybody actually care? Or are you going to be a moron and try to push and argue this absolute nonsense that, oh my geez, oh my goodness, that makes it the child enthusiasm stuff, and that makes it illegal and criminal because by your own logic, the two people that you are calling victims, right? Victims are guilty of creation and dissemination of said images, as well as every high schooler sexting and exchanging nudes. We're not that dumb, are we? Have we gotten to that point where we're literally just going to argue things that make no damn sense? Anyways, I'm going to speed up the video now because I knew that part was coming up. It was already sped up, and I want to play this whole thing in full if I can. Let's go 1.5.
stated that they did not want to get involved in this situation, so they
Oh, that's way too fast. Go 1.25.
cut ties with Carson. The girl involved, Sam, says that she realized after watching Keemstar's interview that it was wrong to call Carson the P word. It was in the wrong context, but it still doesn't justify his actions. Now we need to talk about if there was any...
Well, okay. Now we're going to jump into the grooming stuff. But let's think about this, right? Keemstar uploads a drama alert, all right? Now, I've shown in my recent video that somebody who I do now know the name of this individual, which makes this entire thing even more hilarious, that somebody sent a message to Bo Blacks telling them, right, hinting that Carson was going to be accused of E-word stuff, right? Telling everybody, who to turn on notifications for in January while this stuff was trending about Carson, right? Think about this, right? Keemstar does his drama alert in January. The Carson situation blows up, and immediately afterwards, we're talking about within hours of the drama alert going live, Sam comes out and accuses Carson of being a P word. Now, later, Keemstar does another Twitter video, and Sam, again, hanging on Keemstar's word, immediately updates and says, I should not have called him a P word. It kind of sounds to me like one of two things happen. Either A, Sam is just a massive Keemstar fan, right? And the moment she saw the drama alert, immediately said, I've got to get this uploaded immediately, and just started typing away with her accusations. It started screenshotting all the messages, did the video, scrolling through the DMs, everything, right? Seems a little absurd how quickly that came together. Or, in November, his former friends had already found out who Sam was, and they had plotted this entire thing. Now, that is just a theory, a conspiracy theory, but one in which all the evidence kind of lines up nice and neatly, doesn't it? Right? How Sam was able to, within hours of the drama alert dropping, come forward with P-word allegations while somebody within this group of moronic friends was telling Bo Blacks that there would be allegations, P-word allegations. I'm just saying, it's pretty freaking convenient how that all times out so nice and neatly together. But let's talk about the grooming stuff.
Grooming involved at all. The definition of grooming is the action of a P-word preparing a child for a meeting, especially via internet chat rooms, with the intent of some not good.
Okay, so this is the part that I love, right? Because I keep telling everyone, since the Power Cynical situation, people are going to stretch out the definition of grooming until it has absolutely no meaning, until it just becomes a bad word like racism. They're just going to stretch it out until it has absolutely no meaning anymore.
Things. Now, this isn't specific to a P-word. It can be preparing anyone for a certain action. It doesn't even have to be someone that's under the age of 18. It can be a fully grown person that's being manipulated by somebody else. In this situation...
No, you idiot. That's not grooming. That's just called manipulating somebody, you moron! You absolute moron! He just described basic manipulation of somebody in order to get them to do something. Maybe you want to call that coercion, but it sure as shit isn't grooming! What is wrong with you? Jesus, man. What was that? He shows the definition of grooming, which it talks about someone needing to be a P to the E to the D to the O, and then goes, but it actually doesn't need to be that. In fact, it doesn't even need to be a child. It can be a full-grown adult. That's not grooming. You're describing manipulation and coercion. Now, can there be elements of grooming in certain aspects? Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I think in the Ethan Ralph situation, a man who is twice the age of a 17-year-old and lives in a state where it is illegal, California, to my understanding, where it's illegal for him to be engaged in said relationship, is talking to this girl, isolating her from her family, and then as soon as she turns 18, immediately flies her out to California to, do the dirty and gets her pregnant, right? I think that's elements of grooming. But can I actually say definitively that man is a groomer? No, because it literally is not. It's manipulative. It's inserting tactics, sure. But we don't even have that in the CallMeCarson situation because he never tries any of that stuff. I mean, you want to call manipulative and you want to say he coerced people? I mean, sure, you can make that claim, except that's not true either based on Sam's own messages. But go ahead. Justify claims of grooming because you're brain dead.
Question, it's very difficult to navigate this. I would say that...
It's not. It's not difficult at all to navigate it, by the way. There's a literal definition of something. You have all the DMs, which are in a nice video format for you. You don't even have to read. You can shut your damn eyes, and the video will play audio of like computerized voices reading through it. It was hilarious.
There is a possibility that there could have been some type of grooming, but it could be a power dynamic influence. She was a fan. She was looking up to the person, so maybe she was doing specific actions just because she wanted to keep on talking to...
Okay, PewDiePie groomed his wife. There you go. Well, why not? Because that power dynamic exists in that relationship too. I'm sure they're married and everything. Nobody actually takes issues with the relationship because you'd have to be a brain-dead moron to do so. But by your own logic, by your own rules, by the rules that you set forth, there's an obvious power dynamic. And you know what? More to the point, no YouTuber, absolutely no YouTuber with a substantive following is allowed to date anybody unless they have a channel of equal sub count, or else there will be a power dynamic because let's say you're at 50K and someone's at 100K. Well, obvious power dynamic, right? Because you have a larger channel. It needs to be 50 and 50. Absurd and stupid, right? Absurd and stupid. But what about being a fan? Well, I think if you like somebody, eventually you're going to be a fan of what they do. right? My wife, right? She doesn't necessarily like my content, but she tunes in, she subscribes, she drops comments all the time. She appears in the videos with me. Do we want to say that there's a power dynamic? She doesn't have a YouTube channel. She doesn't have any subs, so it's an obvious power dynamic, right? Or become more successful. An obvious power dynamic. This is such a dumb argument, and it's being made by absolute freaking buffoons.
Carson. So for the sake of this video, let's say that she was groomed. There was obvious...
Well, no, she wasn't. She wasn't. She absolutely wasn't. Why would we say for the sake of the video, let's just assume that the grooming happened, even though there's no elements of grooming at all, even though it doesn't meet the definition of grooming at all, even though Sam herself has said flat out that he's not a P to the E to the D to the O after providing the definition of grooming, which includes it, right? Why? Why would you assume that? For the sake of the video, so I can keep criticizing Carson. Ha ha ha. God. Wow. Dishonest as hell.
Inappropriate conversations and exchanges with somebody under the ages of 18. While this could be stacked up to teenagers doing teenage things, these are not particular teenagers. It's a little bit different when Carson has such a big influence, because that's a big power dynamic. But we need to keep in mind the feelings of Sam. She obviously felt compelled to come out with her story because she felt some type of way. This way could have been like a mental struggle that she had deep within that resulted from this, and it was bad enough for her to feel like she wanted to keep this from happening to other people. That is a legitimate reason.
It's not a legitimate reason. You don't just get to accuse somebody of being a groomer. You don't get to just accuse someone of being a P to the D to the P to the E to the O. You don't get to just do that. You don't get to justify it by saying, well, in your own head, you thought it might work out a certain way, so therefore, etc., etc. Well, in my head, Repzilla is a danger to his entire audience, right? I think the guy will encourage his audience to do absolutely malformed and disgusting things. So therefore, I think that Repzilla is a groomer. No, right? It doesn't work that way. That doesn't make any sense. If it doesn't meet the definition, as you've already said, if there's no elements of it, as you've already said, but she in her own head, you just called her an idiot, dude. You just called her an idiot. Because that's what an idiot does. And sure, fine, she's an idiot. I'm for that. Fine, let's go with your definition of her being an idiot. This is stupid, okay? You just went on, you showed the definition of grooming, and then said, yeah, but that's not actually what it needs to be. It doesn't actually need to be a child. It doesn't actually need to be a P to the E to the D to the O. It can literally be anybody at any time with any person. And then you didn't even establish any elements of grooming. Like, I can establish those in the Ethan Ralph situation, and still acknowledge that, legally speaking, the actual definitions and all that other bullshit, it doesn't meet it doesn't meet grooming. I can say, like, there's certain elements of it, but you don't even have that here. And I gotta wonder, did you actually look through the entire leaked Discord DMs to see that Carson in no way ever brings up his platform, in no way ever pushes his platform on this girl, in no way ever brings up his mental health position, right? Or sorry, his mental health condition. He never does any of that, right? He never, like, tries to isolate her from other people. He never says, I'm feeling really depressed right now if you leave me. Nothing like that. Nothing at all. But it's okay. For the sake of the video, we're just going to assume something incredibly disgusting about the person that I'm criticizing, even though there's no elements and even though it doesn't meet the definition. Makes sense to everybody, right? We're all on the same page here. How absolutely moronic that is, right? Okay, good.
I'm not going to fault her for coming out with her story. I think that she did the right thing by doing that, especially if she felt like she wanted to keep other young girls from going through this.
Yeah, like when she called him a P to the E to the D to the O, and then, like, within hours, again, of Keemstar putting out another video on Twitter, she immediately says, oops, oopsie doopsie, whoopsie whoopsie. I made a mistake, everybody.
You get into the gray area of also it's illegal in most areas if a person in a trusted position who has a large following is not supposed to engage in any type of relationship with someone under the age of 18.
No, you moron. A person in position of trust is like a teacher. A person in position of trust is like a psychiatrist. A person in position of trust is not a damn YouTuber. What the... What? What? Really? A Minecraft YouTuber? Everybody, we're already in 2021. We're already into this 8 days into 2021, and we're already seeing the sheer insanity that this year is going to be. Welcome. You thought 2020 was bad? It ain't even gotten started yet.
Does that bear anything in mind to this Carson situation, 19-year-old to 17-year-old? Maybe. And again,
No. See, I love it because he doesn't. He's here to crucify this guy and doesn't even have the testicular fortitude to say it definitively because even he knows what an absurd and stupid statement it would be. But maybe.
lawyers would have to look into that. It would be very, very dicey, very, very hard to determine things. It would take a lot of tact, a lot of look at this ethical dynamic. Sam's feelings about this situation are she doesn't want Carson to go to jail or be canceled. Now, this is also really dicey, too, because if there was any type of manipulation or any type of power dynamic used to pressure her, then a lot of times in situations, the person that was hurt begins to do this type of sympathizing with their abuser.
Oh man. Yeah, I couldn't. I wanted to do the hookah today, right? I got it right over here, but you know, Jasmine's on me, right? Jasmine said like stop doing it so much, so I told her 3 days a week, 2 streaming days, 1 other day. I already burned up that day, but man, oh man, I wish I could have done it today because holy, it's. Even without it, I'm having trouble taking this man seriously at all. Because it's just this, it's this absurd. It's this freaking absurd. I mean, she's clearly sympathizing with her abuse. Okay, alright, buddy.
Now, this is a very common thing in these types of situations, especially when Carson is saying that he wants to talk to her for the wrong reasons and that he knows it's wrong. So the argument of him creepy, absolutely 100%. This can't be argued with. He's definitely creepy.
He's definitely a shy, awkward, horny teenager. I wouldn't even call that creepy. Like, people do this shit, man. People, like, legitimately do this stuff. They do it to this day. There are many individuals who do it, right? And it's not creepy. It's just only dudes on the internet, man. I just I can't.
The P word? Right now, we don't have the evidence that suggests that.
You mean he's not? What do you mean you don't have the evidence to suggest that? You don't have anything. Is he a P word? Well, I mean, we don't have the evidence to suggest that. Just say no, man. Just say no. Like, come on.
Just do not. Now, do we need to keep an eye on this guy? Do we need to talk about this? Do we need to bring this to light? Absolutely, because if he's done this with one girl, he may have done it with several others. This is why.
Well, I would say, to Carson's credit, when the first girl came out, he said that there was a second girl. He told us her age, right? He did that on Discord. Okay. And then a second girl came forward with the exact same claim. Who was 17. And nobody cares about the age gap. So we're going to say, well, I mean, he clearly, he's doing this with so many other people. I mean, Jay Schlatt tried to argue that in his video, but even then, he's like, well, his roommates don't like him, and he's mistreated his roommates, and now his roommates are telling me that potentially, maybe, possibly, this thing is definitely might be going on. Oh, man. I think he's like 20 right now. I mean, again, you know, 5 years is where I'm just like, that's clear predatory behavior, because you're not within the same generation of those people anymore, right? And especially as you get older, it becomes definitely creepier. But yeah, we're still. I just don't.
Her story is very important. This is why she came out. This is why I agree with this, and why I think we all need to take this situation very serious.
Again. He came forward either because of 2 reasons. One, she saw Keemstar's drama alert, right? And there's credence to this argument because as soon as Keemstar put up a Twitter video, she immediately updated her story to remove the P to the E to the D to the O accusations, right? So she immediately saw the drama alert, and she decided, I have to come forward, right? right then and there, prepared everything in the matter of like an hour, and came forward with this serious claim. Seems a little bit absurd to me, but at least, there's evidence to show that she only did it because of Keemstar, because as soon as Keemstar says anything, he immediately starts pushing. When Keemstar started pushing, it's illegal, highly illegal for child enthusiasm pictures, right? He came out on Twitter with a statement saying that child enthusiasm pictures are illegal in every single case, and then immediately followed up but with her own state law showing that she was perfectly legally okay, even though, we're talking federally at this point. But basically, when Keemstar provides an update, he updates her story to match what Keemstar is saying. She's done it twice so far. Or more likely, we've already seen that his former friends were planning to come forward and bury Carson back in November. They were planning this stuff. I think it's far more likely that they had planned for Sam to come forward with the accusations after the drama alert had come out. Because it only took hours, literal hours, for Sam to drop her story and accuse Carson with the worst messages out there, scrolling through the phone, right? And literally, I mean, it was like a carbon copy of the Ivory situation, really. It all seems like it was very well planned and put together, and the timing is highly suspect. Or she just came forward with her accusations because she saw a drama alert. Either way, like, there is something weird about the timing of Sam coming forward. There's something very weird. It's not like we're a day apart. We're talking about hours. Literal hours. And when Keemstar provides an update to the story, Sam updates her story. Keemstar says, well, he's clearly not a P word. And she goes, I watched Keemstar's video. He's clearly not a P word. Keemstar says, well, you know what, though? It doesn't matter because the exchanging of nudes, that's illegal. That's a crime no matter what. And Sam goes on to Twitter to say, it's illegal. It's a crime no matter what. Except in my state where I'm perfectly okay. I mean, this whole thing's just hilarious to me. It's so obvious what's going on here. And I'm just waiting for people to catch up.
So anybody that is blaming Sam in any type, way, or fashion, stop it right there, because her coming out with her story was absolutely a good thing, because we don't know the full details of this situation.
Well, no. Like, I just went through all the reasons why Sam coming forward is highly suspect, and she's either doing it off of being a massive fan of Drama Alert and wanting to back up Keemstar to the point where she will drop her accusations within hours of the Drama Alert, or more than likely she was contacted by Carson's former friends who have an axe to grind with him, or she reached out to them, or something of that nature, because in November this whole thing was being planned, as we saw by the DMs that Bo Black's made public. Well, I think Diorio made them public first, and then Bo Black's made them public. And given who actually released those DMs, given who actually sent those DMs over to Bo Black's, so much comedy that you guys... You do not even understand how absolutely hilarious this whole situation is.
How deep this runs. Not too much longer after Sam came out with her story, I just heard late last night that a second girl...
I love how her name's Copycat. I'm sorry. Copycat, right? It's literally the exact same thing, right? May through June 2019 started when he shared my grad photo on Insta on May 22nd. That's all I have. I was 17 at the time of these exchanges, and he was 20. There's more, but the Instagram account I had was deleted last year. I wish I said something sooner. I would imagine that based on the way Carson was handling the Sam situation and his messages with Sam,
has come forward. This is what I was afraid of. She goes by the name Copycat on Twitter. And in this situation, the age gap is even further. She was 17, just like Sam, but this time, Carson was 20.
Oh my gosh. We've already seen, Nutless the Wonder Bar over here come out and say, like, maybe a 2-year age gap, maybe we need lawyers involved. So a 3-year age gap is obviously too far for him.
You're going to see as this video progresses, this trends, this is commonplace and shows signs that Carson has done this on multiple occasions.
I mean, but Carson himself said flat out that this was happening with two individuals. And he said that before the copycat person came forward. Carson said that himself. He already admitted to the other person, and then they later came forward. So I mean, that would kind of be relevant to me. I guess not to you, but we're pretty clear here that this is just a crusade to bury somebody. So I want to switch this up really quick, and let me just highlight something. CallMeCarson has been exposed for sending and receiving sexual images with two girls under the age of 18 on two separate occasions. Once when he was 19, and again when he was 20. He said, "I need to talk to a fan that just turned 17." So we're actually just going to crucify a guy for a 2-year age gap. If you would have watched the video or done a bit of research, which is freaking hilarious, given that this moron over here brought California lawyer statements on the subject, when neither individual lives in freaking California, right? Absolutely freaking hilarious, right? Los Angeles County. Moron is going to criticize people for not doing research. You would have known a second girl came forward and the age gap is 3 years. But how much of an age gap do you need before it's enough of an issue for you? 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. Actually, at 4 years, I think that it is a little bit more creepy to me. But 5 years is when I think like flat out predatory. Because at least 4 years you're talking about within the same generation of people. You're talking about a senior in high school with a freshman in high school, which I was in high school at the time, and that stuff happened like constantly because it just did. And those people didn't tend to end the relationship as soon as they graduated. So 4-year age gap might be a little bit more creepy, especially now that I'm 30 and everything. But 5 years, because that's not within the same generation, there's no justification, and you have absolutely no defense legally to it. I don't know, me and my ex had a 3-year age gap. We had dated since we were both in school. When I'm looking for creeps, I'm usually looking for a huge age gap. What's the age gap between you and your partner? Does your partner watch your content? 4 years is the age gap between me and my wife. See this ring? I don't gotta worry about any of this shit. This isn't specific to an age gap. This is about breaking the law. Okay, buddy. If that's your concern, you want Sam, you want Copycat, and you want every single high schooler in the United States of America to be immediately arrested if they've ever sent or exchanged nudes with somebody. Because that's legal, right? It's technically under federal law illegal, right? There's a reason why the federal law doesn't get used that way for more than obvious reasons, but okay, you can have it your way. This is Burger King. Have it your way. My last relationship, my partner was 2 years older than me. Well, there you go. She groomed Repzilla. Case closed, everybody. Repzilla is a victim of grooming. That's why he's taking this so seriously. Hearts out to Repzilla. Positivity turtles in the chat for Repzilla. Whenever you go after him, you'll always run into the wall where it's a 2 to 3 year age gap. The only actual argument you'll find is power dynamic, which holds very little water, because if that's enough to destroy someone, then we have a long list of musicians we should cancel. Now, I think most will agree CP is a big no. Yeah, we should arrest Carson for CP and the girls for production, since that is a crime. And then he goes ahead and shows the article Teen arrested for allegedly having nude photos of himself on his phone. There you go. The federal law doesn't work this way for obvious reasons. It doesn't seek to prosecute horny teenagers who are in consenting relationships. It does go after teenagers who go and upload those to random websites, who upload those to people who do not want to see the images. Then it becomes an actual federal case. But, again, by Repzilla's own malformed logic, he would want both Sam and both Copycat, these two victims who he is cherishing and praising for coming forward, to be arrested, because that's your own argument. Now, I think that's absurd. I think it's stupid. I might find those two morally wrong, But I don't want to see them hauled off into a federal court and prosecuted for something that I think is a complete non-issue, that the feds think is a complete non-issue, just like I wouldn't want to see high schoolers rounded up for sexting and exchanging nudes, because it would be ridiculous to do that to people. But not according to weirdos on Twitter and his Karen goddamn audience. This is why this whole situation is just so freaking stupid. All right, let's get back into the video. We've only got a little bit more to go.
Keemstar, host of popular YouTube channel Drama Alert, asked Copycat if there was in fact inappropriate images exchanged here, to which she verifies that this was the case.
Okay, again, yes on Snapchat. So, look, I've already explained why this argument is stupid and weak to begin with, but if anyone's ever used the service of Snapchat, the images and the messages automatically delete themselves. So, if that's where these nudes were being exchanged, you don't even have the guy on possession. You don't. You literally have him on sexting, right? Basically doing like video chats and never saving anything. Come on. The argument was weak enough already, and now it literally has no merit at all.
Slimecicle released a statement about the situation. Pause to read this. He says targeting a minor for grooming and other inappropriate and unwanted advances is illegal. 100% true.
Yeah, sure. Except that's not what happened in this situation. But, since you wanted to bring up Slimecicle, I actually had kind of something pretty interesting about Slimecicle. Why is Charlie Slimecicle in Carson's game show video if it was filmed during quarantine? Because Charlie said he cut all ties with Carson shortly after he was told, which was in March. Carson also announced and filmed the game show back in June. Anyone have any ideas? Remember we said pause to read it? Yeah, so Slimecicle said in March when this was revealed to him, he immediately contacted the federal police, right? And he immediately cut all ties. But as we can see here, this is a VOD from the CallMeCarson VODs channel. CallMeCarson Live. So Slimecicle was still doing content with Carson in June, right? June would be 3 months after Carson had come forward with the statement. So Slimecicle obviously lied to everybody when he said he cut all contact, right? If that's the case, if he actively went and lied, right, about cutting contact with Carson, because he clearly didn't, right? I do question if he actually contacted the feds, because let's be clear, if your statement is he contacted the feds, which Slimecicle said as well, the feds don't Try not to swear as much. The feds don't care at all. They don't. This has never been an issue for them. Okay? So we're just wasting our time with sheer stupidity at this point because the feds don't care. Based on what Slimecicle said. But also, I can't trust Slimecicle because in March he says he cut all contact, and in June he's still doing videos with CallMeCarson. So there you go. Brings a lot of the credibility of everyone in that Carson corner is highly suspect.
And he also talks about a 2020 phone call where Carson told him that he did in fact exchange inappropriate images with this minor. He also said that he did report this as soon as he found out. Now, initially when I first heard about this situation, it was trending.
So again, if early 2020, I'm sorry, but the feds don't wait on something like that because people tend to delete this stuff. But even then, let's say the feds did go to investigate, they would find, oh, Snapchat, well, no proof. Literally no proof because there's nothing there. That's even if they cared, and they don't, because by that same logic, they'd have to go and arrest Sam, they'd have to go and arrest Copycat, and they'd have to go and arrest every single high schooler who's exchanging nudes. I cannot say this enough, how absolutely stupid that would be. But that is the worldview of weirdos on Twitter and this dude's audience of frickin' Karens.
On Twitter with Mini Lad. I'd been covering the Mini Lad situation very in depth. I did major interviews with the individuals.
Yeah, I can actually see them over here, buddy. You're okay. Mini Lad apology. Mini Lad just ended his career. He's gonna actually accuse CallMeCarson of being like Mini Lad, which is insane. And I'm gonna let him get through his entire statement.
Involved. I suggest that you guys check that out so you can see just how similar this is. There was a video that dropped last night. It was
see how similar it is. Okay, well, let me take a quick break here. CallMeCarson is no different than Mini Lad at this point. Take his platform. Facts. 2 girls, both 17. He was 19 and 20. Exchanged explicit texts and images with minors. Used his mental health to manipulate his friends. Power dynamic. He called for the open deplatform of CallMeCarson and compared him to Minilad, saying that they were no different. Repzilla, who's actually done quite a bit of content on Minilad, let's talk about the massive differences between Minilad. Minilad was 18, engaging with his 13-year-old moderator. Minilad reached out to the moderator, not the other way around. Minilad would constantly bring up his mental health and his thoughts of self-deleting himself to push that 13-year-old to stay with him. We've gone through the entire messages between Sam and Carson. There is nothing about his platform. He never talks about his mental health. He didn't even engage in the conversation initially. It was Sam who reached out to Carson. It was Carson saying he didn't feel comfortable and Sam encouraging him to do it. That is not Minilad, you brain-dead buffoon. You are disgusting. You are absolutely disgusting on every single level. You are a trash, garbage human being, and I say you need to seek serious help. Now, man, I think that you should really think about this stuff, right? Because let's talk about someone who, is abusive, right? And uses their audience in malicious ways, like Minilad does, right? Repzilla, you accused a small YouTuber known as Marsii of doxing you when you gave him photos for a video. And then when you didn't like the way the video turned out to be because it wound up being critical of you, you accused him of doxing for using the photos that you gave him. You accused that same person of stalking you, right? And your evidence of stalking was that you gave your Facebook out to people. He added you on Facebook. Now, you both have said that the Facebook ad or the Facebook link was unintentional, right? But when he contacted you and said, hey, this is your personal Facebook, you didn't tell him, hey, can you unadd me or anything? No, you were perfectly okay with it. You had no issues with it. But then later on, you accused him of being a stalker, even though you two were having friendly conversations during the time period that you're accusing him of being a stalker and a doxer. And Primink called you out, and you were forced to issue an apology. There's an entire Google Drive of your disgusting behavior in that situation. And you sent your audience to go attack him. But wait, there's more. Because remember how he said that he had accused somebody wrongfully of being a stalker and a doxer? Well, Repzilla had another stalker. This girl was in... This is a he said, she said case. Repzilla says that she's a stalker, but, given his inability to actually phrase his terms correctly between doxing and stalking, I'm just going to give you her side of the story. Repzilla invited this girl to Tennessee to tickle his pickle in a trailer park where he lived at the time. She wanted to know where exactly he lived because she didn't feel comfortable flying out to Tennessee, not knowing the area, and being trapped there with this big YouTuber that she was a fan of. So instead, Repzilla told her the town and the gym he went to and that he lived in a trailer park. She went onto Google Maps, found the trailer park because it was right next to the gym. She got creeped out. She said that she didn't want to go. Repzilla, being offended and pissy, told his audience her full name, her social media accounts, and said, this girl has been stalking me and doxing me. And you know what they did? They attacked her. He was forced to delete her entire social media presence. So, if we're going to talk about taking away anyone's platform, how about the guy who's twice accused people of being doxers and stalkers, even though that's not what happened? Why not? And why would I believe you over the victim? Right? Your victim. The person that you sent your audience out on, the person that you released her full name and all of her social media accounts out to. But why wouldn't I? Because based on the Marsii situation, which you were forced to apologize because another large YouTuber called you on your bullshit, you've been shown to falsely accuse people of stalking and doxing in the past. There's an entire Google Drive about this. So now there's another girl who's accused you of doing the exact same thing. Accusing her of being a doxer and a stalker and sending your malformed audience out to attack her. You think people have forgotten that, Repzilla? You sure you definitely haven't, because I saw your tweets in November telling everybody that this girl is on a live stream right now or some garbage like that, and talking about how afraid you are, even though you've deleted her from the internet with your actions. I don't know. I figured I would inform the audience here watching this video about the nonsense and garbage that you've gotten up to. But for those of you who are unaware of this situation, check out Marsii. Marsii actually has an interview with this girl. I'll put the link in the description so you can be more well informed about that situation and the absolute level of harassment that Repzilla sent her way because she didn't want to tickle his tiny little pickle in his disgusting, filthy trailer park.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't seen it, but it changed my whole perspective on the situation and made me realize that Carson did utilize his mental health in this situation. He was telling his friends what he did. He was telling them that he was very depressed, he was in a bad mental state, which he could very well have been. But when you take your mental health and you use it to distort the reality of the situation, to lie to your friends, how could you ever be trusted again? This is a little bit...
Yeah, well, kind of like a guy who uses his TBI as an excuse for when he doesn't do research and has a bad hot take, and then says because of his TBI, he wasn't able to do the research because he gets so frustrated and he is unable to do proper research into events. Why would I ever trust somebody like that? And what's even weirder, right, is this entire statement, right, where he talks about, well, his friends said this stuff about him. Well, did he say that to the girls? Did he use his mental health towards the girls? Because that's what Minilad did. But we saw the entire messages with Sam, and he never once talks about how he's feeling depressed or feeling like he's going to self-delete himself if Sam doesn't continue with him, or talking about how his mental health is deteriorating. We don't see any of that. It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's really kind of weird. But here's Jay Schlatt's video, and I gotta say, I'm really skeptical of Jay Schlatt.
Bit of what his friend said.
But a few weeks ago, I started having some conversations with some of Carson's closest friends, including his former roommates. And in my discussions with them, I heard some things that suggested that Carson wasn't improving in the areas that he should have been. And he was showing signs of continuing some of his inappropriate behavior.
So again, it's not his own experiences with Carson. He's going to his roommates, who he says he treats poorly, right? And those roommates said, like, there are signs, there are hints, maybe, possibly, might be. So even in Jay Schlatt's own video, he doesn't actually confirm that anything is still happening. He just says that the roommates who don't like him have said that there are signs that it might be. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. Like, he's either doing it or he isn't. Is he in his room just jerking it off to Snapchat? Do you know what the ages of those people are? Maybe he's just on Snapchat on maybe he's on a premium Snapchat. Maybe he's chilling out on freaking OnlyFans with iDubbbz's girlfriend. I didn't understand what the point of that part in his video was, other than to explain why he didn't come forward sooner, to justify to everybody how he's still a good person, while at the same time calling Carson a disgusting human being, right? Because like the more you watch that video, like I watched it a few times now, and it just becomes more and more suspect to me.
And apparently this was happening while I was spending all this time trying to help him. And while he was saying that he was working on himself and that he was changing and that he hates the person he used to be. Also, seeing the DMs he exchanged with some of the girls that have come forward absolutely fucking disgusted me. Up until yesterday, I thought that all these encounters...
The DMs absolutely disgusted him. Seeing the DMs with these girls. There's only one girl who's Sam, right? Were you expecting something else to come forward? I'm curious, right? Did you know about something else? Is there something else that you're aware of? I know. I'm just being like conspiratorial now. But I've read the DMs with Sam. I think it's pretty disgusting the way Sam is pushing somebody who's clearly not comfortable. I'm not going to pretend that at 17 you don't have the mental capacity to know when you're doing something right or wrong, right? Because people on Twitter seem to think that that's the case. As soon as you turn 18, become this golden god of adulthood, which is absurd and stupid, but, Twitter.
Carson had were very much, spur of the moment mistakes that he regretted instantly. And that was very much the story that everybody was told. And knowing what we do now, it's simply just not the case. This was something he pursued. And dude, I'm shocked.
What do you mean knowing what you do now? You just said that the roommates told you that, maybe, might be, possibly. Knowing what you do now, what? You actually don't know anything. You don't know if he's still continuing the behavior, as you've already admitted in your video. Again, the J-Slot's video seems like it's just justifying why, even though he's going to call Carson a terrible, disgusting human being, he didn't actually come forward sooner. Kind of clever when you think about it. Pretty manipulative.
I can no longer say with any confidence that I believe Carson's behavior has ever stopped. I can't take his word for it anymore.
So there's a lot of things confirmed here. One of the biggest ones being that there is more than one person that
What do you mean? A lot of it. We've already confirmed there's more than one person. You showed Carson saying that there's more than one person. You've shown the other individual who Carson already came forward and said existed. What did that video confirm to you, dude? It's fucking stupid, dude.
Carson was texting, and that's all that we know of. There could be a lot more. So specifically from what Carson said, and specifically from what she said.
Well, Repzilla, right, accused a girl of being a stalker and a doxer, accused Marsii of being a stalker and a doxer. And again, check that interview out in the description. It is very eye-opening. I mean, based on that, there could be like at least 100, maybe even 1,000 girls that Repzilla has coerced into coming to his filthy trailer park and saying that if they didn't suck his tiny little pickle, that he would accuse them of being a stalker and a doxer and send his entire malformed audience out to. I mean, look at that face, right? Does that look like a face of someone that you can trust? No. You see how stupid we're about to get? Oh, man.
There 100% was an exchanging of inappropriate images, which that's prison time.
Oh! It's a good thing Junior Cop over here, Internet Detective, has confirmed to us that this is jail time, even though, the feds were informed in early 2020. They don't care. By his own standard, both Sam and this copycat individual would both need to be arrested and brought up on federal charges. And also every single high schooler that sexts and exchanges nudes. But it's a good thing we have Junior Internet Detective Lawyer Pro over here to inform us of everything. Thank you, because without you, I may have had common sense and actually decency.
So my final thoughts on this are this. CallMeCarson very irresponsibly used his platform to do some not good things. And once you cross that threshold, once you use your platform in this manner, I don't think that you should be able to use your platform any longer.
Huh. Hey, think about that, right? CallMeCarson in his messages with Sam never brings up his platform, never talks about his platform, never talks about his mental health situation at all. But using your platform irresponsibly. Dipshit over here used his platform to go attack his critics. Used his platform to go attack a girl who didn't want to fly out to Tennessee to suck his little tiny 1-inch pecker in his dirty, filthy trailer park. I mean, based on Repzilla's own statements and logic here, he shouldn't be allowed on the platform. He should have his platform taken away. He should have his channel deleted by YouTube. Repzilla, a man of your own words, given someone who has used the platform irresponsibly to harass other individuals, right? Which you absolutely did. You released that girl's full name and all of her social media links, set your malformed audience out to attack her. Given your own standards, delete your channel right now.
Don't forget to put Positivity Turtles in chat, and if you want to reach out to me, go follow my Instagram. I'm trying to get to 15,000 followers. We're currently at like 14, very close to 15. And as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed it. I want to know what you think, so why don't you go ahead and leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up, those likes. As always, brothers and sisters, I will see you in the next video.
Now, I know I don't need to tell you guys this. Do not follow his Instagram account and remind him of the girl who his audience harassed into deleting everything online, deleting herself from the internet because he accused her of being a stalker and a doxer, all because she didn't want to do the dirty in his filthy trailer park. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I don't want to play the stupid little outro stuff. I do like the music at the end and the beginning. His music is pretty catchy. But I'm sure that this won't be the only hot take that Repzilla gives us on this situation because, you know, he's an idiot. He's legitimately a very stupid person. I'll see you guys in the next video, and we'll be streaming on Monday at 10:30 Eastern PM. Hopefully we can see you all there. We'll be talking about Keemstar, or as he would more likely to be called, Keem Hansen, online P to the E to the D to the O hunter.
Hello, let that shit bang.